I'm just going to say it's Friday. Welcome, Mazlie, to the Fempreneur podcast. I am super excited to introduce you to more of the Fempreneur community members that you haven't met yet and learn about your business and really just get to know you because we don't know each other like barely at all.
I know. It's been a while. Just a little bit of chit chat here and there when we've met when was that event? Probably a year
We met
ago
at a
now.
brewery, not
Yeah,
this brewery.
I know.
We met at the
Old
amazing
times.
brewery in Airdrie, which is where you live. You live in Airdrie.
I'm in Carstairs.
Oh, I thought you were in Airdrie. Okay. Carstairs. Even better. I love Carstairs.
Small town living. We traded in city life for small town living.
Good for you. Were you in Airdrie or Calgary or something and then moved out to Carstairs?
Yeah, so Calgary, Airdrie, and then Carstairs.
Oh, cool. Okay. And you work with horses, which is why there's a really cool looking saddle behind you.
Yes, I do. I work
Your
with horses and dogs, and I'm a mom.
and dogs and your mom, all the things. So tell us about your business sort of evolution from idea to deciding to start the business. Did you have to work at a part-time job while you were getting your business off the ground? Like, I want to know all the things.
Yeah, great question. I always love talking about this. I think the journey is really important. I think people think that you kind of become successful overnight or, that it's not a process. I think for everybody, it's such a journey, especially as an entrepreneur. But yeah, I actually, when I lived in Airdrie, I used to own a lash studio. So it's not my first rodeo being a business owner. But yeah, for a long time, I actually worked out of LifeMark Physiotherapy. So I was the business manager there for 10 years. I opened my lash studio and I did that part-time while I actually went to school to become an equine sports therapist. So I've kind of always had a couple things on the go. It's just how I am. Everyone kind of knows me for that. And then as I started to kind of grow in terms of wrapping up my studies as a student. So it was a 2-year program out of Vernon, BC. So I was driving once a month out to Vernon, BC, and doing my case studies between working full-time and running a business part-time and being a part-time / full-time student. So I was doing all that at the same time. And I was also on the board of directors for the Alberta Equestrian Federation. So I was wearing a lot of hats at the same time. And I picked a business where both my businesses were really busy in the summer. So I kind of took off my lash technician hat and decided to kind of retire from there and step into now it's called static equine sports therapy. And I juggled both doing LifeMark Physiotherapy and running my business for static equine. So I was really lucky that I saw a lot of growth in my first couple years. I really worked on my time as a student, just building connections and getting to know people in my community. I was really lucky kind of beforehand, kind of put myself in positions where my ideal clients would be. So prior to that, I did 2 years of rodeo royalty. And I also rode for the Calgary Stampede Show Riders. And so you kind of meet some horsey people along the way, because I used to be really embarrassed to say this, but I don't come from a horsey background at all. My family is not horsey people. So that's a venture I kind of went out to all on my own as this horse crazy girl.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I fell in love with horses. I really, truly did. And I've always been one to accept a challenge in any capacity. So, you always get people saying you have to be born into it. And I thought, I'm going to have a real go at this. I'm really passionate about it. I really, really believe in this. And as I started working at LifeMark Physiotherapy and just seeing what chronic pain does to people who have a voice, it really made me dive deeper into that healing journey of animals aren't always heard. They do have a voice, they're just not always heard. And so in that capacity, I felt it was really important for me to advocate for that and bring that to life on how I could help in that area. So yeah, once I finished my schooling, I finished my 2-year diploma, Static Equine was born, and we kind of just thrust into that. So fast forward, I kind of had a goal that in 3 years, I really, really wanted to have the opportunity to start working for myself full time. So I gave myself 5 years. I said in 5 years, I think that would be really cool. The timeline seemed appropriate. And in actually 2.5 years, I made the decision to leave my corporate position and step into my business full time. At that time, I was a new mom. So 2021, I had my little guy. And I don't know, just something about being a mom. I just said, you know what, I want to have my own time and my own flexibility, and work for myself and stop having such a wall in terms of financial freedom, time freedom, all those things put on me. And so there I was, brand new mama. I said to myself, if I can replace my corporate job financially within a few months, then here I go. So I kind of just broke down, quarterly, what would that look like? And so, yeah, 6 months in, I said, yeah, I'm not going back. I'm just going to stick to it. And here we are.
Wow, good for you. Okay, so a lot of fempreneurs have trouble with pricing their services. And actually, in the last Fempreneur podcast episode, we were talking a bit about this. And it's something I want to dig into more and more on the podcast with every single guest. So let's talk about the money piece. Let's talk about, how do you value yourself? And was there a phase where you felt like you were undervaluing yourself? And how did you correct that?
Definitely. I actually get this question a lot in my industry. I feel a lot of students don't have quite the confidence to price themselves accordingly. So I kind of grabbed the bull by the horns. And once I finished my diploma, I went in and during this time, I was searching what other therapists in my area were pricing themselves at. What's my bottom dollar at the end of the day to be able to take more education and grow a business.
The sun's going down.
Oh, yes, the sun is going to
Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
I love it.
Yeah, little sidekick. Do you want to go watch your show?
But the dark is going to be dark soon.
It is going to be dark soon, honey. The moon is going to come out. Do you want to come say hi?
Yeah, come say hi. Oh my goodness.
Hi. Yeah, the little sidekick.
Came in to tell Mom that the sun's going down.
That's right. Okay, Archie, please.
I love it.
So yeah, I kind of just jumped in and I priced myself accordingly, and started charging what other therapists were charging in my area right away. I really felt strongly that the value I brought to the table was worth it. And so it kind of went from there. There was a period, probably about 1.5 years in, as I started to grow a little bit more, that I was stretched so thin. Like, people were booking 3 months out. I just couldn't really keep up. And so, a lot of my entrepreneur friends used to come to me they still come to me for advice. And I remember distinctly talking to one of my good friends, and I said, I think you need to raise your prices, because she was at the same point. And I said, I really think you need to raise your prices. I think you're run off your feet at this point. You kind of start to get into a headspace of, do I still love this? Because you feel more strain than you do freedom. In a way, I think you kind of get to that point in your business. And
Go to bed, Mom.
yeah, we'll go to bed soon.
But
So we're on a schedule.
Mom,
Kate.
He's like, this is not part of the schedule.
Yes, very observant. This one keeps us on our toes. And I remember she looked at me and she said, you know, you need to take your own advice sometimes, right? And I'm
Oh,
so reluctant to raise my prices because I just got stuck in this. I want to keep it affordable for people, and whatnot. And then once I started to have some inner chats with myself, I said, you know what? I did have one person question my service price. And I said, you know, if you can find somebody who does what I do and what I bring to the table for the same, for a lower price, you should book with them because
yeah.
you're getting a heck of a deal.
What a
And
great answer.
but you know, that's where it kind of changed. And I said, you know, I do need to raise my prices a little bit to reflect just how busy I am and the services I bring to the table. And I'm constantly taking education too. So I always say that to somebody, you know, when you're choosing a therapist. Yes, honey.
Now when you go to bed right now.
No, we don't. Out you go, please. Oh, please. You'll be fine. You're not scared of the dark. I know you're not. No, you're not. Apparently today we've decided we're going to be scared of the dark. Just today. Just in the last 5
Why
minutes.
not? Why not? It's a great day
Three.
for that.
Yeah, you can play right there if you want. You can play there. So yeah, I just always say, you know, are you able, this is a question for yourself and for your clients. I think service-based can be really hard to price yourself too. Because a lot of times service-based, if you're not being paid for the service, you're not being paid at all. So I think it's really important to factor in, you know, in your prices, are you able to take education and keep learning? For me, what's important is a team approach. You know, working with other people on your team to collaborate on what's best for your animal. And just good communication. So being able to have good open conversations. You know, I take a no band-aid approach. At the end of the day, it's what's best for your horse. And yeah, having the flexibility to fit you in when you need it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk more about what you actually do, because you've definitely kicked us off with a ton of fempreneur, you know, just inspiration and guidance and coaching. So thank you for that. That was really fantastic. And now I want you to talk more about what you actually do. And I've got two border collies with me. One has stolen the toy that she's not supposed to have. I'm going to have to sneak away and grab it and put it in the closet while you're talking in a second. So could you tell us more about what you do, the equine sport therapy, and then talk a bit about the animal communication too? And I can hear you, but I'm just going to walk down the hallway and put this.
Yeah, no problem. I get it. So yeah, I'm an equine and canine sports therapist. So there's quite a bit that branches under what I do. So primarily, I tackle soft tissue injuries. So sports massage, acupressure. I also do manual osteopathy. So there is a structural component to that. And basically my goal is to tackle the root cause of the issue. So with that being said, and kind of everything that fits under the scope of what I do, we do see really big results within 1 to 2 sessions. So the outcomes of that are huge. And then we add into the animal communication side of it, where I believe that owners truly want to understand their animals on a deeper level. I think when owners can have a picture of what's going on in their animal's world from their own perspective, I think that just makes an even stronger bond. It makes an even stronger team, especially when we look at it from a horse and rider point of view, where you start to get to more of a competitive level. Being able to have that trust and communication and understanding just takes you leaps and bounds ahead. But I also get people who are maybe struggling with certain things, you know, behaviors, physical things that are kind of showing up out of the blue, that are really cool to just kind of clear the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you work with dogs too, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, you're talking to all of us at once.
Yeah, I know. That's mom life when you have one ear here, one ear there.
Yeah. I was just going to say, you do animal communication work with dogs as well, right?
Yeah. So I can actually do that with any animal. So there's lots of times I will do during a session. And I also do it distance wise. So where we can do it from a distance. And I actually find those to be quite accurate when we're looking at diving into some deeper emotional stuff. There's just less distraction, and it's really cool what comes up. I've never had the same session ever come up. But I also do intuitive healing for people on that note. So there's been lots of times, someone will book their animal in and they end up coming to me for an intuitive healing session because their animal just kind of wants to turn more towards them and help them out a little bit. Animals are amazing. They're such natural healers, and they're really good at politely calling us on our stuff.
So you also work with humans. I did not know that. Okay. So I mean, it makes sense. If you have the gift, you have the gift, right? Like you obviously have the gift, which is so cool. So wow, good for you. So I want to know, because I know you were just at the Calgary Stampede working your butt off, doing all sorts of things for 10 days straight. Tell us about a typical day in the life at the Calgary Stampede.
Oh, wow. Yeah. This is one of my busiest years. Like, I was just run off my feet in a really good way. Like, the energy down there is just absolutely amazing. You're just like on a energy high the whole time because everybody's so excited. There's just so much going on down there. My feet absolutely kill me by the end of it because you're just kind of, everybody's on their own schedule. So, I was getting down there around 7:30 in the morning and typically not leaving till about 9 o'clock at night. There is a cutoff at some point, people. But yeah, like you're kind of running all over the place. So everybody's on their own schedule. So you may start, up at one barn and then you're huffing it down to the other side of the barns. And then I also am in the egg barn. So it's just a lot of walking back and forth to accommodate everybody in their schedule. So it's just go, 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 go all day, which is great. But yeah, so it's pretty busy. And then typically when someone sees you working on a horse, or I did work on 2 steers and 2 heifers while I was down there as well. So once you kind of start in one area, then people notice you down there and kind of want to book their animal in too. So yeah, it's really great.
And how do people book these sessions with you? Like, for example, if they saw that you were doing this work and they just like discovered you, then how, like, what do you, I'm just curious to know how you book people in.
Yeah, that's a great question. Every year I joke that I'm like, oh, I only have, a few horses booked this day. And then I'm there till 9 o'clock, like I said. So a lot of it is word of mouth. Once people kind of figure out that I'm down there, word of mouth travels really, really quickly. I do work with some of the vets down there, so they know that I'm on site as well. And then I do have some barns that just book me for the day or for however many horses they want to book. But also I had a ton of clients showing down there this year. So a lot of people knew I was on site and booked me for specific days. And knowing that you kind of can roll with the schedule. There's a lot of times, with Calgary Stampede that stuff comes up here and there. There's always a schedule change somewhere and you just kind of got to roll with it and work with everybody. And yeah, so they know I'm pretty good about jumping here, there, and everywhere and working with them. So
nice. I want to talk about canning in a minute because I know that you were canning today. But before we do that, let's talk about the mompreneur. We'll call it a balance, but I don't actually believe that there's balance in life ever. But like the mompreneur hats that you wear, when you're doing the business and the momming thing, like how have you, I think it's pretty sweet that you managed to kind of start your business around the time that your son was born. So you didn't necessarily have a really, years and years and years of no momming while you're running your business. But how have you juggled it? What are some of the mantras that you have, or some of the rules that you have, or some of the maybe funny stories that you have about it? Anything.
It definitely has its days. I kind of threw out the word balance a long time ago. I give myself a lot of grace, I would say. Just in the sense, I kind of use the word synchronization more than balance, because I think there's some days that I'm called more towards being a mom and being more attentive to, you know, what my son needs. And then I'm a wife too. And so there's sometimes that I just have to turn more inward to my family, and just I've had to really train myself to recognize that early on what that looks like. And then there's other times that I focus on my business, and I really am driven to, you know, work towards certain things. And I'm really lucky that my husband is so supportive. Like, he really jumps on board anytime I need extra support. And he knows that I'll take that time when I need to. So, but yeah, there is some days it's really tough. Like when you're kind of focused on something, and then, you know, prime example tonight, you have little noises, you know, mom, 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 mom. So it is really hard some days just to kind of juggle it all. But it's so rewarding at the same time. Like I always thought, you know, the flex was having all this money. And now I joke that the flex is going to the zoo on a Tuesday with my kiddo because I want to and I get to. So, you know, I'm in my really, really busy season right now, but I really make sure when I'm in my not so hectic season that I really take the time that I need to focus on my family. And having systems in place is huge.
Yeah.
Like
Can you tell
family systems, work systems, everything just has to kind of have a bit of a system. And I think once I kind of, you know, vert from that, it doesn't take much to go off the rails.
No.
But I think because I love it all, I really love my job. I opened a second business this year as well called Trax Archery brand. So, and that one is kind of still in the growth stage. We're just getting it off the ground. So that I would say, like, starting a business during, like, kind of as your kids are more starting to become more independent and doing their own things, you kind of have to chase after them a little bit more. Very different from when Hunter was a baby, and you know, you could plunk him somewhere, and for the most part he was pretty content to just hang out there. Now not so much. So
Yeah.
we're in that learning curve too. So
Right. So what's this other business?
yeah, so Trax Archery brand, we started it this year. So this has been on my mind for about a year, and my husband and I are both really passionate about the amateur archery community. So my husband and I both compete in archery tournaments all over Alberta, and we're actually looking to cross into the US next year. So it just started as a way for us to hang out, and now we bring the whole family along. Hunter comes with us on some of our like more fun shoots as well. But there's a really large gap in the community in terms of how many women and youth competitors we have joining the sport. And so we really wanted a way to serve our community and kind of give back to them. So our Archery Apparel brand is for the archer. There's not any other brands that represent archery, and there's near to none representing women in the archery sport. Like, a lot of apparel that you see is very masculine. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to bring that feminine component into it. So our designs are with that unisex brand in mind, in that, you know, it's still flattering, but also still the guys really like it, because we do have, I'd say probably the 80% of the community is men. Yeah. And so we just wanted to launch this brand to be very inclusive. And also we want to start giving a portion of our revenue to go towards bursaries to help women and youth shooters grow in the industry and bring them in. And that will also go towards any archery clubs that want to promote that. So we'll kind of top up if they're looking to grow. And yeah, we just wanted to have a way to help out and be a bit of a bridge for the amateur community. And so this next year, we're going to really focus on education for amateur archers, just maybe the burning questions that they're too scared to ask, and get more people coming out and feeling comfortable. We just want to be that middle person that isn't scary. There's no dumb questions, and just be really inclusive for everybody in the sport.
Oh my gosh, that's so fantastic. I've like a million other questions about that, but we'll probably do another podcast episode about that specifically in the future. because that's so cool. So apparel for archers. Wow.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
really cool. I'm wearing the brand right now, actually. This
Oh,
is
you
Smart Designs.
are? Ooh, I love that logo. That's so
Thanks.
great.
Thank you.
Do you
So,
hunt as well?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, my husband and I hunt. I'm fairly new to it, so yeah, I haven't got anything yet, but I'm happy. I guess I'm a support system at this point until I actually get something.
Yeah, well, you've probably been on some successful hunts in your life though, right?
Yeah.
Like where
I
someone else has shot something
Yeah,
or
yeah. So it's still fun to go. Like I still enjoy the day, and my father-in-law is a pretty serious hunter, so he gets pretty on top of us to get out there. So
right. That's awesome. Good for you. So you're a girl that didn't necessarily grow up in the country with horses, but you've designed your life accordingly to what you wanted to get into, despite the fact that you maybe weren't exposed to this stuff as a kid, which is so cool. That's what a fantastic story. I want to know more about take us back 10 years ago and answer the classic Fempreneur podcast question, which is, what would you tell your 10-year younger self? It can be about life, business, marketing, momming, anything.
whew, yeah, I think 10 years ago, I'm like, let me think, how old was I? um, 10 years ago, I was doing rodeo royalty, and I remember that was a year I really pushed out of my comfort zone. I had never done public speaking. I had never been comfortable in a rodeo community, being that I didn't come from that community. Um, and I remember being really ashamed or scared to talk about my story, and that I wasn't a country bumpkin like I may be portrayed to be, that I was a city kid who kind of was just really passionate about the lifestyle. And so I felt like a bit of an imposter in a way, and I really wasn't sure if going into a career with horses would look good on me and all this stuff. And so I think looking back 10 years ago, I think I would have probably said, just go for it, tell your story, because everyone needs to hear it. And the more people I started to talk to about growing up in Forest Lawn in Calgary, the hood, I actually realized how many people I could relate with, and how much of an impact I was able to have on people who are maybe in the same, had the same background as me, or a similar story where they just didn't believe that they could do it because they felt that they needed to come from that life, or someone to kind of open a door for them. And it's like, no, you can 100% make your own dreams a reality. You can pave your own path, blaze your own trail, however you need to word that to yourself. Like, really just believe in yourself, because you have people rooting for you more than you think.
Awesome. So you would probably tell 10-year younger Mazlie to speak up more and share that story more. Is that kind of what you're
Definitely. Just be proud of where you came from. I think every journey is so cool. And I wouldn't change it. There was a long time in my life I probably wished I would have. But now where I am in my life, I'm really grateful for those lessons. I'm really grateful for how hard I had to work to get to where I am, because a lot of things probably seem easier to me than parts of that journey, and just that self-acceptance. So
wow, that's a really great answer. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. Awesome. Well, I want to let you get back to your evening with your kiddo, because he is obviously missing you, and you have just shared so much wisdom and so many inspiring stories. And even though I could talk to you for hours, I will let you get on with your evening. And looking forward to seeing you again at another YOIC Femipreneurs event, and having you back on the podcast for you to share, updates to everything you shared today and about your archery apparel company in the future. Is there anything else you'd like to leave Fempreneurs with before we hop off?
Oh, wow. I feel like there's so many words I could say. um, I am really grateful for you having me on here and us getting to connect and be part of this community. And I love what you're doing. I think this is great, bringing people together. That's what it's about. And yeah, so thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, everything that you've shared has been so fantastic. So, yeah, so for those of you who want to connect with Mazlie, you can find her on Instagram at Static Equine Sport Therapy. The link is in the show notes, so you can just click it there, easy peasy. Head over there, follow her, check out all of her amazing pictures and stories there. And then you can find me on Instagram at YYC Fempreneurs. And you can join the online fempreneur community where we get together online and you get to do some networking and all those good things and get instant access to amazing marketing courses at yycfempreneurs.com. So thanks everyone for tuning in and for sharing this episode with other fempreneurs who might need a little loving kick in the pants from Mazlie with all these awesome things that she shared. All right, have a great night, everyone. Thanks.